Hello everybody, this is Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and we are going to go over the 940! Woohoo! Such a good knife. Doesn't really fit in frame here because it's so long, but I want it to be nice and zoomed in on all the good details here, so we'll just roll with it. Alright, so this is the Benchmade 940 Osborne, the original in the green. A classic and awesome EDC knife. This model was designed by Warren Osborne, and he was a rancher over in Australia, and with this knife he was aiming to make a knife that he could have in the field with the horses, where if need be he could actually clean out their hooves and maintain them, along with all of the good farm tasks that come with being a rancher. So this knife had to be pretty durable. It had to cut, it had to have a good long blade, but also a reinforced tip in case you had to use it as a pry bar or a scraper or anything of that matter. So this knife in some senses is overbuilt, and in others it's actually very sleek and slimline and kind of not what you would expect from a multi-tool, really, because that's essentially what this is. It's a multi-tool with a blade, and it was specifically designed to be a multi-tool with a blade. So this knife is fairly long. I believe it's about 8 inches, maybe a little under, but if I can try to... Let's see. I'm going to have to pick up the camera for a second, but I want to line it up with a mini Griptilian, which in my opinion is the perfect EDC-sized knife. So let's see if we can lift this up for a second. Sorry about the shadows and everything here. But the mini grip is the perfect length, in my opinion, for an EDC knife, and the 940 is significantly longer than the mini grip. So definitely a long knife. The good thing about it is it carries very thin, very slim line, so it doesn't feel like a massive knife, although it kind of is. Let's go over a couple specs real quick. So it comes in S30V blade steel, a great general use knife steel. I really like S30V, especially Benchmade's. It is a reverse Tanto style blade, very thick stock. It does not thin out. So if you're looking for a slicey knife, this is not it, because it is thick. Aluminum scales. Sorry about all the paint. I did try to get that off with numerous things and it just didn't come off, so I apologize. We have that anodized purple backspacer that everyone knows and loves. When you buy it in its original form, it will come with the regular Benchmade clip, the black parkerized one. I just threw the split arrow on it because I thought it looked nicer and it kind of completed this look. Very lightweight, very thin, and very durable. So some pros about this knife. This knife is an all-around beast. It is reliable, durable. This is absolutely a hard-use knife. This is a knife that I consider it as a multi-tool because I have pried with that tip. I have scraped with this tip. I've used it as a screwdriver. The cutting edge I have used, obviously, as a knife. And the back end I have used as a hammer. So, the pros are that you can use this for frickin' anything. If you are somebody who uses your knives hard and is looking for an all-around, kind of like jack-of-all-trades blade, this may be for you. Because you really can use it for other things, and I know there's a massive debate on using your knife as something other than a knife. There are some knives that you can do that with, and there are some knives that you cannot. This is one that was literally built for that. Like, Warren specifically made this knife as a multi-tool so that he could carry less but have more. So this thing really got a lot of mindfulness and creativity put into it because it's just meant to do kind of everything. It's not going to be a master of everything, but it can do just about anything. It's lightweight, it's durable. These scales are very durable. They will scratch up if you have anything rubbing up against it, but don't we all love that look? It's just a fantastic knife for hard use. Let's get into the cons, because honestly, for most people, there will be more cons than pros. Not all of us are hard use knife users, and not all of us want a multi-tool out of a knife. So, this is not going to be for everyone. It is not slicey. This will wedge an apple apart before it actually cuts it. The geometry of the grinds and the edge bevel, they weren't meant for it to be razor sharp, slicey all the time. This knife is kind of difficult to get like a razor sharp edge on, and it's surely hard enough to keep it that way, just because of the geometry of how this blade was made. You can get it very sharp. It's just so thick that it for some things won't feel as sharp as it should be. The thickness is going to be an issue for a lot of people. The length is going to be an issue for a lot of people. If you are somebody that just does general EDC tasks, nothing really ahead of that, you may not like this. It's just not for everyone. And I think what happened was, this was made, people bought it, you had some people who were hard users that loved it, and then Cody from Wrangler Star came through and made this sound like it was made by the gods. And Cody used it for all types of stuff, and for him, it really was made by the gods. But he used it as an all-around multi-tool, and then everyone started buying it thinking that it was going to be a fantastic knife for them, and it wasn't. And then we kind of had this strike of 940ers come through that said, you know, it's just not good. But that's not quite true. It's fantastic if you know what you're going to use it for. So if you are looking for a slicey, box cutter type thing, this is not it. It's just not. This is legitimately a multi-tool with an edge. And it's not going to be much more than that. It's just not. You're not going to be slicing apples, slicing cardboard, slicing paper, food prep. You're not going to be doing that with this knife. You can cut open general packages and stuff, and you can do a hell of a lot of messy cutting and things that don't require a lot of precision. But this is really a sharpened pry bar, guys, and people see this online, see how cool it looks, and they just want it, but they really may be disappointed if they invest that much money into it, which is about like $200. If you go investing that much money into this knife thinking it's going to be the ultimate EDC slicer, you're going to be highly disappointed. It is just not that. So that's a con, is that it is highly misrepresented, and we need more people being open and honest about it. It's a multi-tool. It is a sharpened pry bar. It is not a slicey, dicey blade. It will cut. It will not slice. The best use for this is exactly what it was designed for. Sorry, guys. We are stuttering hard here because there is a deer in the yard that I am highly distracted by. Okay, and the dogs are. So, this is for a farmer, a carpenter, a mechanic, any type of tradesman, anybody looking for an all-around, hard-use, multi-tool knife. This is for someone who does not care about precise cuts, who does not care about slicing through things that need a very refined edge. This is for someone who doesn't care if their knife can whittle hairs or not, because it's not going to do that most likely. If you are a collector, this could be for you because there are 8,000 versions of it in all different blade steels and coating types and handle materials, all that good stuff. But this is for a hard use, rough and tough guy or gal. It is not going to be for the everyday person. But if you are any type of rancher or anybody that is in the trades, you may like this. This may be your one and done multi-tool. The last thing I want to touch upon before we shut down here is sharpening. This is a knife that I have not had too much trouble sharpening, but I don't expect a lot from it. So this one in particular, I have found does better on a diamond stone and a nice rough strop. The blade itself is hard to sharpen in the sense where if you don't take this blade out of the handles, it's just awkward. It's thick and it's kind of awkward to maneuver around a stone. The steel itself isn't too hard to sharpen, but it is thick and it does just require a little bit of patience and time and attention to detail. So sharpening is pretty easy. You don't need anything special, just some diamond stones and a good strop, but it's not going to get like razor, hair whittling, hair popping forever sharp. You can make it hair popping, but I don't think it'll hold it forever just because it's not necessarily meant for that. But sharpening is generally fairly easy if you can figure out how to maneuver the entire design around a stone. And that usually means either taking the blade out, maybe taking the thumb studs off, something of that sort, or using a one of those systems where it clamps it in for you like that and you work with the stone around the edge. One of those fixed sharpening systems. I think that's about all we have to say on the 940. I personally love this knife. This is one that I tested very thoroughly for a month, and I actually got rid of my pry bar for the month and used this as the pry bar as part of the testing. Sorry about the dog crying. They saw the deer and they're all out of sorts. I did use this as a pry bar and a scraper and a screwdriver for a month to test that theory because that's what it was made for. And everyone lost their minds, but I did do that and it worked exceptionally well. I did break just a hair of that tip off during that process, but I really jammed it into a bracket and that snapped right off. But aside from that, the testing went incredibly well, and for someone like me who uses their shit and doesn't care about slicey dicey, this is one of my best knives, especially because it has no ergonomics. Check that out. Pretty much a straight handle. And the tip here is right in the center with everything else, which I really enjoy in a knife. It makes it much easier to use it when you're piercing or prying. It kind of just becomes an extension of your hand when everything is centered up here. I think that's it, guys. I think this is it. This is just an awesome knife. But we have a lot of traffic coming in. I am highly distracted by the deer and the FedEx guy and life in general. So I'm going to check out here. But as always, use your shit. Like, how can you not? That looks freaking awesome, right? Okay. Go use your shit, guys. Have a great day.